Last weekend, I went to a local farmer's market in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, a little town in kind of central Kentucky, and I ran into a great example about how to kill your business. Now, this isn't a single concrete about a small town business. This is a basic fundamental that will kill any business, or at least prevent it from growing beyond a basic sole proprietorship. For those of you who already have a business, this message will probably ring true. You've probably already faced this. But for those of you who are just starting a business, this is a key mindset that will help you ensure that you're not wasting your time and money. So I walked into this booth. It was a hot, humid summer morning, in the South, uncomfortably hot and uncomfortably humid. And the owner was sitting there in a chair with his two kids next to him. Now, this guy wasn't going to win any fashion shows unless there's a prize for unprofessionally dumpy. Naturally, the booth looked the same, but that's not the mistake. That's a symptom of the mistake. So I opened a conversation with him. I said, "How's business?" He shrugged, said, "It's all right." "I'd like to keep my thumb on the freeze-drying industry," I said to him. He's like, "Oh, you do it too." By which he meant, oh, that I'm some kind of competitor, that I'm freeze-drying candy and trying to sell it. Now, if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know I don't make any freeze-dried product of any kind other than, in the room behind me, in my little blue Alpine for handouts at trade show booths and to eat at home and to give as gifts. But, the man automatically assumed that I was some competitor and definitely not worth talking to. Although I'm not really sure that he really considered anyone worth talking to. I said to him, "Have you seen David Lehman's channel on YouTube, The Freeze-Dried Business?" No. He said, "I haven't watched any videos for a couple of years. I watched some when I was trying to figure out how to run my machines. And once I figured that out, I haven't watched anymore." Now, maybe you get a glimpse of the fundamental failure that I'm talking about here. This man had a complete lack of curiosity and initiative to even stay in touch with what's going on in the freeze-dried industry, his own business, his own market. He probably doesn't even know that Mars is freeze-drying their own Skittles now, and some of these other big candy companies too. So some guy that he's never even met walks into his booth on a hot Saturday morning. Probably the guy that knows maybe as much or more about freeze drying, everything about it, than anyone else in North America. And he had no idea, right? And furthermore, his conversation shut me right down. Like, he was not interested in talking to me. I could see it. I could have probably just talked to him for the sake of chatting and told him all kinds of information that would have been really good for him to know about his own business, about his machines. I know how to make harvest rights run faster on candy. I know lots of stuff about how to make the equipment last longer, or how to change products. He did have some non-candy products there too. He had some pickles and maybe some freeze-dried fruit. I just wished him good luck and walked out of the booth thinking, yeah, you're going to need it, buddy. So what was it that caused this complete lack of curiosity? I mean, as soon as I started talking to the guy, I could see this complete blankness in his eyes. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen it in people before. Did it come from a lifetime of struggling to achieve something with no success? Unlikely. Highly unlikely. Because those who strive for success, those who really try, almost always have it, almost always achieve it. So did it come from worrying that I was some kind of competitor? Well, I say it's unlikely because I had just shown up. And I could tell from my conversation, in the first, 10, 15 seconds, that this sort of thinking was really entrenched in this guy. Did it come from being raised by the wrong parents or not having the right advantages in school? Give me a break. In fact, I'd argue that having advantages in school and having some kind of silver spoon at home probably would make you less likely to strive for success rather than more. Why, for example, doesn't he watch videos about people freeze drying stuff, products, and maybe getting ideas about what he could do? I mean, he told me that he hadn't watched videos for a couple of years after he figured out how to run his machines. Now, think about that for a minute. Think about how much that simple statement tells me about his character. You know what I do in the mornings before work? And then in the evenings after work? Like many people, I watch videos, at least part of the time. I also have conversations and read books and cook and garden and that sort of stuff. But the videos that I watch are videos like The Freeze Dried Business with David Lehman, or Brandon at White Pepper Farms, or Josh from the Freeze Dried Community. And that's just to keep up what's going on with freeze drying. Now, note the lack of commercial freeze drying videos here. I don't really know anyone other than myself that's producing any content of any decent quality about commercial freeze drying. Please correct me if I'm wrong and you know of some good content, because I'd love to discover some. But what my big challenge is isn't about freeze drying. My big challenge is about how to get people to watch my video content, right? How do people that I don't even know, how do I get them to engage with me? Because there's stuff that they probably would like to know, or at least to think about, that I can maybe stimulate their imagination on. But if I don't know how to reach them, I never will. And how do I make my content more interesting so your forehead doesn't hit the table a couple of times as you watch me blather on with, too much detail about some topic? So guess what I watch videos on for the most part? You guessed it, how to make better YouTube videos. How to make the thumbnails and the title good so that people are likely to click in. I think it's literally one of the most important things that I'm working on right now. So I spend a lot of time working on it. So I'm guessing that guy in the booth fundamentally just doesn't like to work. The kind of people who would prefer that they just open their mouth and other people poke food into it. Of course, they would prefer to have caviar and ribeye too, for that matter. But I'm just speculating, look, because I really don't understand how people cannot have the basic level of curiosity to at least discover the world that they live in and how to live in it better. So, don't be like that guy in the farmer's market. Stay curious. It's the fuel that keeps the fire burning inside of you. If you lose that flame, well, you might as well start writing your obituary. Even if you exist for decades longer, you already stopped living. It's also the fuel that keeps your business alive and innovating, adapting, growing. You have to know what is of value in order to create some value. And newsflash, if you don't create value that people want to trade their cash for, then you don't have a business at all.